Greetings, my fellow freeloaders, sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Saturday, April 22nd, 2017. Ooh, yeah. Yep, so, looks like, Alex Jones is supposed to be, has testified on his own behalf and being cross-examined on his custody battle. And I love it when stations like CNN are manifesting, they're like, rubbing their nipples. You know, like they were watching that movie, Jim Rosenberg's movie Crash, you know, car crashes and fetishes, yeah. But they're like manifesting, like they're all like desperate because their genre of news is being plummeted. So, so I was just observing everything on that. And, I tried going to some of the news articles, including my statement, which is based off Austin. Didn't really say anything about it yet. So I'll try to keep tabs on that. And, of course, Leonard Pitts put his 2 cents in for the Miami Herald about him making people paranoid and all that. And I'm like, with all due respect, Leonard, I remember years ago in the 80s when people say never trust the Miami Herald. I'm just wondering, is your revenue, the company you work for, was it under Knight Foundation, is losing? Something to really think about. I remember the big Miami Herald building down there. I don't know if it's still open. I can be mistaken. Miami News was shut down, of course, during that time. But the whole thing is this. Accuracy is essential. Well, I'm not going to go Pitts bashing anyway, because that would be a waste of energy. But we all know a lot of folks out there are tired of the garbage that's in the newspaper industry. And it's a shame because you got some fantastic journalists out there are getting shafted. We love putting some drama in there, so there's no excuses. You have no recourse, especially when you talk about Sandy Hook being a false flag. The question I have is, my friend, have you looked up the FBI crime report in 2012, tablet 8 to be exact? Under Newtown, 0 murders. Explain that. So yeah, the whole thing is, I'm going to tell folks, even doesn't matter what you get your information from, make sure it has merit. That including you, Mr. Pitts. And of course, 9/11, when they say it was a false flag. Well, you know what? Explain to me why we became more of a police state. New World Order agenda, I call it. And I think I did let you know about that too. I sent you a little link about the firearm-free zone. I know we're all primitive and angry back then, but always try to see things in the bigger picture. And look what happened to that. I still say this to you, Mr. Pitts, and everyone else listening. 9/11. Happened on September 11th, 2001, was a New World Order agenda. And just radical Muslims. Still people buy that garbage. Give me a confounded break. I'm going to get you crackpots. But if you think they're the masterminds, you've been duped. Including you, Mr. Pitts. But I'm not saying it's out of condemnation or censoring or have any animosity or malice towards you, but it's in good faith. You're a person like myself, I'm not an expert. I boldly admit that. It's just, I try to make sure I always observe responsibly. That's for all the folks out there as well. Everyone who's listening, always thank you for downloading my shows. I'm getting some good comments, cool comments too, on some of my past episodes, and I thank you for that. Hey, criticism's good too. Like I said, always use decorum. So, just gotta get that off my chest. One more thing too, the video out there by Valley Forge on YouTube. To talk about the trial of the Bundy trial that happened in Bunkersville, is on his property in Bunkersville, Nevada, and the way the judge instructed. Well, it's like some wacky 15, 16 pages long. It's like over 30 pages long on how to make a decision. And even when the jurors are questioning, which is good, because they have the power to say not guilty. They can send the vultures for the prostituter that represents the federal government a strong message. But we'll have to, look that up. You know what? I posted on my Facebook page, so check it out yourselves. All right, and check it out yourselves. Lucky Luck, Roman number 3, and it's on there. Okay, if not, just look it up. You won't be. Just put up Valley Forge Network, I think it's called, and you could get it all right there on all the cases. That is essential. Well, actually, what I'm going to be doing is found out yesterday, a friend of mine, a comrade, Al Suarez, I thank him for posting on Facebook about what happened with the Jehovah's Witnesses in the Russian Federation, which he says it's wrong. And a person like myself has that experience under my belt. My grandmother, my mother, and were practicing Jehovah's Witnesses. So, and I do have my critical standpoints on there too. But I'm not going to condemn the rank and file. There's a lot of good folks out there. But I do say it's a state church. 501c3. I am going to add that link to a 990 form. It's right there on its face. And I'm very critical when it comes to 501c3 churches because they compromise with the U.S. government. They all bow down to the Lyndon B. Johnson Act. You know what B stands for? Backstabber. He was a senator at the time in Texas before he became vice president. So, without further ado, let's check it out here. And it'll be the title, Russian Supreme Court bans Jehovah's Witnesses as extremists. But does that make the U.S. government any different? Write that down. I'm going to write that down here. Yeah, so it'll mainly be focusing on that between the Russian government and the U.S. government. And and I'll try to put everything by detail. I may just tell folks to try to put many footnotes in here as possible. But if I say something, I recommend everyone do their own research. And you can still share it with me too, which I want to tell you where you can send your stuff. Like many times before I sign off, because this is a real good discussion. I would say, to be all sincerity. So I'm going to start off trying to get the coolest, best articles I can in good faith. And of course, here it says it's by AmericaMagazine.org, which it says here the Jesuit Review. Interesting, right? It says here Supreme Court bans Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. And it's by the Associated Press. And it says here the Russia Supreme Court on Thursday banned Jehovah's Witnesses from operating anywhere in the country, accepting a request from the Justice Ministry that the religious organization be considered an extremist group. The court ordered the closure of the group's Russian headquarters and its 395 local chapters, as well as the seizure of its property. Sounds like something like Vladimir Lenin would do, right? Yeah, Communist Manifesto. Interfax News Agency on Thursday quoted Justice Ministry Attorney Salvalanta Borisova in court as saying that Jehovah's Witnesses pose a threat to Russians. They pose a threat to the rights of citizens, public order, and public security, she told the court. Borisova also said Jehovah's Witnesses' opposition to blood transfusion violates Russian healthcare law. See, don't you see what's happening right now? They're trying to combine church and state. All right, let's just give you a very good example. All right, if you read the Old Testament, Hebrew scriptures, talks about the blood is considered sacred. Like I said, look it up yourselves, please. It is essential. And you can look up in any different versions of the Bible, even though Jehovah's Witnesses use a book called the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, but you can look at the King James Version, they're pretty damn identical. But I will continue on here. Yaroslav Silvalusky, a spokesman for Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia, said in a statement they are greatly disappointed by this development and deeply concerned about how will this affect our religious activity. Jehovah's Witnesses say they will appeal the ruling. Jehovah's Witnesses claim more than 170 adherents in Russia. The group has come under increasing pressure over the past year, including a ban on distributing literature deemed to violate Russia's anti-extremism law. Human Rights Watch criticized Thursday's decision as an impediment to religious freedom in Russia, which many people will claim that Human Rights Watch is a George Soros or open source foundations. They get the money from that, OSF. But I will continue. The Supreme Court's ruling to shut down the Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia is a terrible blow to freedom of religion and association in Russia, as Rachel Denber, Deputy Europe and Central Asia Director at Human Rights Watch. The rights group also expressed concern that if the ruling takes effect, Jehovah's Witnesses could face criminal prosecution and punishment ranging from fines to, and they don't have anything else in here, to prison time. So, to prison time. Well, so it's like the battle of religious de-freedom, religious tyranny, you can say. So that's just the first area. So I'm going to hit this next one here from the Reuters, which is very interesting here. When it says it came out Thursday, April 20th, Jehovah's Witness court bans, Russian court bans Jehovah's Witnesses as extremist. Russia's Supreme Court ruled on Thursday that Jehovah's Witnesses were an extremist organization and must disband and hand over all property to the state, local media said. The religious grouping confirmed that ruling is about liquidation in Russia. Of course, we are disappointed by this development, deeply concerned about how this will affect our religious activity. Yaroslav Silovsky, a spokesman for Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia, said in an email comment, "We will appeal this decision, and we will hope that our legal rights and protections as peaceful as religious groups will be fully restored as soon as possible." Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia have 30 days to submit their appeal for consideration by a 3-person panel. Religious life in Russia is dominated by an Orthodox Church, which exerts considerable political influence and enjoys the support of President Vladimir Putin. Some Orthodox scholars view Jehovah's Witnesses as a totalitarian sect. So if it's dominated by the Orthodox Church, they just bent over, spread their butt cheeks to Vladimir Putin. They go, hey, we will bend over for you. We are your bitches. Continue on here. Interfax news agency said Sergei Sharapanov, a Jehovah's Witness representative, as saying that the group will appeal to the European Court of Human Rights. We will do everything possible, he said. Russian authorities have put several of the group's publications on a listed banned extremist literature, and prosecutors have a long cast it as an organization that destroys families, fosters hatred, and threatening lives. Interesting as perspective there, because they were even past history of cases. They talked about some of them were involved in pedophilia, and other forms of abuses. And I could say this too, Charles Taze Russell was considered a third degree Freemason. All right, just to throw that in there. Folks, please, I don't know if I'm going to put all this in here, but if I do, great. If not, look it up, okay? Just trust me. Just look it up. Observe responsibly, all right? And it says here the group, a United States-based Christian denomination known for its door-to-door preaching and rejection of military service and blood transfusion, said that this description is false. The religious organization has expanded around the world and has about 8 million active followers and faced court proceedings in several countries, mostly over its pacifism and rejection of blood transfusion, but Russia has been outspoken in portraying it as an extremist cult. The ruling was issued after the Justice Ministry applied for an order to shut down the group's national headquarters near St. Petersburg. Its Russian branch, based near St. Petersburg, has said a ban would directly affect around 400 of its groups, have an impact of all of its 2,277 religious groups in Russia, where it says 175,000 followers. So censorship in Russia, Russian Federation. And so this is, like I say, you got to look at it one way or the other. Even if you could disagree with them, All right? But if you think this ban is fantastic, your faith can be next. Even if you're an atheist, you can be next. Or Satanist, doesn't matter. Something to think about. It's called the domino effect. It spreads like fire. Even during the time of the Nazis took over, Hitler, the Third Reich took over. Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower Tract Society in Germany, did not endorse that government. And they got persecuted for that as well. I do recall watching a movie, like a miniseries, called The Holocaust. That happened like 1977 or 78, NBC. And there was one scene where they're in the trains, in subway trains, if I'm correct. And there's like two individuals that were Jews, talked about we're not the only ones being murdered or tortured. And he lists a bunch of many others, gypsies, pacifists, and Jehovah's Witnesses, etc. And it was interesting because you can hear that story, that part aspect, when people say only 6 million Jews, but some people got offended by that. Why? If you study tyrannical government, genocide and democide, you gotta look at the entire picture, not just one particular group. It's like communism revisited. State runs everything. That's what it looks like from here. So, I will go on further. But the Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty site, and it came out yesterday, says here EU denounced Russian ruling against Jehovah's Witnesses. The United States and the European Union have denounced a Russian Supreme Court decision to brand the Jehovah's Witnesses as an extremist organization and ban its activities. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom said in a statement that was disappointed but not surprised by the court's move. USCIRF is an independent, bipartisan U.S. federal government commission that monitors the universal right to freedom of religion or belief abroad. The court's decision sadly reconfirms the disregard of the government for religious freedom in a present-day Russia. The statement quoted USCIRF Chair Thomas J. Reese as saying, individual and community expressions of faith and even private religious beliefs are not safe from state-sponsored repression and coercion in Russia today, Reese said in the April 20th statement. Reese also dismissed the Russian Justice Ministry statements that Jehovah's Witnesses pose a threat to the rights of citizens, public order, and public security, as simply a politicized assault on a religious group known worldwide for its pacifism and avoidance of politics. Reese went out to say that with this decision, the Russian government takes another unnecessary step away from the international community and toward isolation, and urged Russia's judiciary to overturn this unjustified ruling if the Jehovah's Witnesses choose to appeal it. Meanwhile, EU Foreign Affairs Chief Federica Mogherini's office said on April 21st that the ruling could make it possible to launch criminal prosecution against Jehovah's Witnesses for mere acts of worship. Jehovah's Witnesses, like other religious organizations, must be able to peacefully enjoy freedom of assembly and without interference as guaranteed by the Constitution of the Russian Federation, as well as by Russia's international commitments and international human rights standards, which I am going to address that on the show. It said in a statement, New York-based Human Rights Watch said the court's April 20th decision was a terrible blow to freedom of religion association in Russia. A senior British official also said she was alarmed by the Russian court's moves. This ruling effectively criminalizes the peaceful worship of 175,000 Russian citizens and contravenes the right to religious freedom, which is enshrined in the Russian Constitution. Baroness Joyce Anneli, Human Rights Minister, said in a statement on April 21st, the United Kingdom calls on the Russian government to uphold its international commitment to this basic freedom, the statement said. Jehovah's Witnesses denomination in Russia, which it says it has 170 adherents and 395 local branches in the country, said it would fight the ruling. And if I recall, too, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they were part of the denomination of the Protestant religion. Okay, so this is very dangerous. Who's going to be next? That's the question. Which religious organization that doesn't bow down to their government can be prosecuted next? Just a very good example, my friends. We have to look at things at a broader picture. Why is that? Anyone who critically thinks can be next. Doesn't matter where you're at, but in Russia itself, the Russian Federation, you can be considered a threat because you don't polish apples for the state. So, let's just do a little reading on the Russian, the Constitution for the Russian of the Russian Federation. It got revised in 2014. It's from constituteproject.org. And I will add this to my footnotes. As it says here, I love the preamble on here. It says, "We, the multinational people of the Russian Federation, united by a common fate on our land, establishing human rights and freedoms, civil peace and accord, preserving a historically established state unity, proceeding from universally acknowledged the principles of equality and self-determination of peoples, revering the memory of ancestors who have passed on to us their love for the fatherland and faith in good and justice, reviving the sovereign statehood of Russia and asserting the firmness of its democratic basis, striving to ensure the well-being and prosperity of Russia, proceeding from the responsibility for our fatherland, present, and future generations, recognizing ourselves to be part of the world community, and do hereby adopt the Constitution of the Russian Federation." Yeah, so there's some contradictions in here. All right? Like I said here, establishing human rights and freedom, civil peace, and accord. Yeah, well, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you've been excluded. Or critical thinker, etc. So let's read what Article 1 has to say. The Russian Federation is a democratic federalist law-governed state with a republican form of government. Right? Okay, let's read Article 2. Man and his rights and freedoms shall be the supreme value. The recognition, observance, and protection of humans and civil rights and freedoms shall be an obligation of the state. Oh, yeah. Article 4, Verse 3, the Russian Federation shall ensure the integrity and inviolability of its territory. Let's check out Article 6, verses 2 and 3. Every citizen of the Russian Federation shall enjoy rights and freedoms on its territory and shall bear equal responsibilities and envisaged in the Constitution of the Federation. A citizen is verse 3 now. A citizen of the Russian Federation may not be deprived of her citizenship or the right to change it. Oh, yeah, a lot of hypocrisy here, right? And of course, Section 1, Article 7, Section 1, or Verse 1, excuse me. I should have added that to my notes. I got my notes here. So, the Russian Federation shall be a social state whose policy is aimed at creating conditions ensuring worthy life and the free development of man. All right, so we'll just keep going. We'll just head down to Article 13. All right, Article 13. And it says here, it says here, we'll go from 1 through 5, okay? Ideology is verse 1, Article 13. Ideological diversity shall be recognized in the Russian Federation. 2, no ideology shall be proclaimed as a state ideology or as obligatory. That's an Orthodox Church. It's like the hidden hand, allegedly, right? Okay, verse 3, political diversity and multi-party system shall be recognized in the Russian Federation. 4, public associations shall be equal before the law. And 5, the establishment and activities of public associations whose goal and activities are aimed at the forcible changing of the basis of the constitutional order, at the violating the integrity of the Russian Federation, and undermining security and creating armed units and instigating social, racial, national, and religious strife shall be prohibited. So it looks like the Ministry of Justice used that Okay, just allegedly speaking on verse 5 of Article 13 to use this against Jehovah's Witnesses. All right? Now, we'll get to proceed here on Article 14. The Russian Federation, this is verse 1, Russian Federation shall be a secular state. No religion may be established as a state religion or as is obligatory. And 2, religious association shall be separate from state and shall be equal before law. Well, that got tossed out the window, right? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So it's very interesting about that, yeah? I'm just like, have to get a big kick out of this stuff, yeah? That's why it's always good to do your homework when it comes to these political other countries, you know, in the Constitution. You'd be surprised what you can get out of this. And we'll head down to 17 and 20. This is just chapter 2, Human and Civil Rights and Freedom. And it's Article 17, sections 1 through 3 verses. In the Russian Federation, human and civil rights and freedom shall be recognized and guaranteed according to the universally recognized principles and norms of international law and this Constitution. Basic freedom rights is too. Basic freedom rights and freedoms. Basic human rights and freedoms shall be inalienable, shall be enjoyed by everyone from birth. Woo! Oh! All right. And verse 3, the exercise of human and civil rights and freedoms must not violate the rights and freedoms of other people. What 18? Human and civil rights and freedoms shall have direct force. They shall determine the meaning, content, and implementation of laws, functioning of legislative and executive authority, and of local self-government, and shall be guaranteed by law. We hit 19. Verse 1, all persons shall be equal before the law and the court. 2, the state guarantees equality of human and civil rights and freedoms regardless of sex, race, nationality, language, material, and official status. Place of residence, attitude of religion, convictions, member of public associations, or of other circumstances. All forms of limitations of human rights on social, racial, national, language, or religious grounds shall be prohibited. And verse 3, men and women shall enjoy equal rights and freedoms and equal opportunities to exercise them. Can I smell governmental hypocrisy? Absolutely. And we'll hit 20 verse 1. Everyone shall have the right to life. Okay, we'll hit 21. Across the board. 1, human dignity shall be protected by the state. Nothing may serve as a basis for its derogation. Okay, well, unless you're a Jehovah's Witness, right? Subsection 2, nobody should be subjected to torture, violence, or other severe or humiliating treatment or punishment. Nobody shall be subject to medical, scientific, or other experiments without voluntary consent. So, right there, my friends, on Article 21, verse 2 of the Russian Constitution, and they said blood transfusion violates Russian health laws. Well, I'm sorry. You just made an ass out of yourself once again. You governmental fools that you are. Okay? On its face, null and void. Your rhetoric is null and void. Stop conning the con man. Remember, it's government. They all think they all know best. I'll proceed to 23. I say 22, what the hell. Everyone shall have the right to the freedom and personal inviolability. So that's section 1, okay, of Article 22. So we'll hit 23. Everyone, verse 1, everyone shall have the right to the inviolability of her private life, personal and family privacy, and protection of her honor, and good name. So verse 2. Everyone shall have the right to privacy of correspondence, of telephone conversations, and or postal telegraph and other communications. This right may be limited on the basis of a court order. So there's maybe a court order on this. Yeah, very, interesting here. All right, we'll just hit Article 28 through 30. And we'll hit all from the top here. Verse 1 of Article 29. Everyone shall enjoy guaranteed freedom of thought and speech. 2. Propaganda or agitation which arouses social, racial, national, or religious hatred and hostility shall be prohibited. Propaganda of social, racial, national, religious, or logistic supremacy shall also be prohibited. Ooh, looks like you try to use that as well, the Ministry of Justice, but it's actually double speak. Okay, it's double speak. All right, so verse 3, nobody shall be forced to express his thoughts and convictions or to deny them. 4, everyone shall have the right to freely seek, receive, transmission, produce, or disseminate information by any legal means. This type of information which constitutes state secrets shall be determined by federal law. 5, the freedom of mass media shall be guaranteed. Censorship shall be prohibited. What happened? The motherland of Russia? What happened to your Russian Supreme Court, judiciary system? Your government is thriving on hypocrisy. It's like you have Michael Moores and Rosie O'Donnell's out there as well. And hit 30. It'll be both subsections 1 and 2. 1, everyone shall have the right of association, including the right of establishment of trade unions for the protection of his or her interests. The freedom of activity, public association shall be guaranteed. Okay? Right there. And 2, nobody be compelled to join any association or stay there. So they have that free will, correct? Absolutely. I'm going to hit 34 to 36. Articles 34 to 36. 34, subsection 1. Everyone shall have the right to use freely his or her ability and property for entrepreneurial and other economic activities not permitted by law. 2, economic activity aimed at monopolization, unfair competition shall not be permitted. Okay, that's different there. But property rights. Okay, Article 35, the right of property right shall be protected by law. 2, everyone shall have the right to have property and to possess and use and dispose of it both individually and jointly with other persons. 3, nobody may be deprived of property except under a court order. Forced alienation of property for state requirements may take place only subject to a fair compensation. Ha 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 ha. They're not going to be compensated on there, right? And 4, the rights of inheritance shall be guaranteed. So they try to use that whole due process. But they go, oh yeah, compensation. Yeah, they're going to give you a middle finger. Okay, that's what they did to them. All right, and 36. We'll go through all 336 here, 1 through 3. Subsection 1. Citizens and their association shall have the right to possess land as private property. 2, possession, utilization, and disposal of land and other natural resources shall be exercised by the owners freely provided that this is not detrimental to the environment and does not violate the rights and lawful interests of other people. 3, the conditions and procedure, the use of the land shall be determined by federal law. So, based on these articles I've addressed, they try to play devil's advocate. Double-edged sword. But one thing I say, my friends, I am not really keen with this organization. They're just an example of state church in the United States. But when you go and pick on people, that's called a witch hunt. And governments, tyrannical governments, have been doing that for a very long time. If you still believe you're going to trust your government, you're going to worship these people who are in office, you just got the Jim Jones syndrome. That even includes my brothers and sisters in Russia as well. I can be critical of whoever I damn well please. And so all those folks out there are talking about how great Putin is and how great their country is. Don't get swindled. Look at the bigger picture. They don't like constructive criticism like our government. So this is how you have to really observe this. The war on freedom of personal creed. Your personal creed is in jeopardy. I know there's a lot of corruption with this organization. It's just an example. of state churches worldwide. But the government, they're not all pristine either. Something to really contemplate. It could happen to any of us. And the reason why I'll use the U.S. government for an example, because they're using the same thing, but in a different perspective. Before I proceed, I'm going to add a link about the Watchtower Tract Society, which is, is under Henrietta M. Riley Trust, 990 Finder, and it tells you what their finances are and what's their stocks. You'd be surprised what kind of stocks they have and so forth. So yes, that's what I'm saying. The Watchtower Tract Society, aka Jehovah's Witnesses, is a state church in the United States. Like I say once again, I'm not too keen with the founder and all that. They're the Freemason. And I'm gonna actually add that video on there by Know Your Enemy, by Jehovah's Witnesses, how they were founded and all that. And the guy has a lot of merit. Okay, just to give you a bigger glimpse. Like, I'm not crazy, but I'm not gonna condone what happened in the Russian Supreme Court, because you don't have to agree, but they shouldn't be censored. Because if you support that, you just create a precedent. Well, Thomas Paine once said, and now I'm going to look this up right now. He made a real fantastic statement about this. And I am going to look it up. I got it on my phone. Bingo. He made a statement. He that would make his own liberty secure must guard even his enemy from oppression. For if he violates this duty, he establishes a precedent that will reach to himself. Thomas Paine said that. Okay? So all you folks out there, doesn't matter if you agree with these groups or individuals, they have the right to exist. If they violate your space, that's a whole different ballgame. Because I know some of the folks on there, I've looked at some of the links about what happened with Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, good, yeah, good. You're just a bunch of damn fools, are you? Just arrest those ass clowns. They probably worship your heroes, political butt boys and butt girls, as some god and goddesses, and you're critical of a certain entity, and you're gonna jump for joy. Hopefully you listen to this, because I don't give a damn if you hate me or not. If you got something to say, let me know. If not, the hell with you. That's what Thomas Paine has to say. Yeah, so, wow, it's almost 40 minutes into this. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot of my coffee. Just to let you know, I'm at CJ's Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, along the New River of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. If you go on the Andrews Avenue Bridge on the southwest corner, this nice glammy apartment complex called the Yacht Club. Is it Yacht Club? New River Yacht Club? Yeah, always get these up. Yeah, at the Yacht Club. Yeah, phone number is 754-301-5832. Support the mom paws. It's a cool little place. They even have, sometimes they even have, they had a open mic jam. And it was a good turnout. So, hey, support them. Support the mom paws, man. Great revenue, and they could be here longer, and I like it. My dog loves it. He's just chilling right next to me here. So, always got to add that to my footnotes. All right. Speaking of government, how does it make a difference with our United States government? And we're going to go through some of the archives, okay? And this is here from thetruthwins.com. It was written by Michael Snyder. and he's an author and all that. He has economiccollapse.org, the most important news.com, I think it is. Him and we follow each other on Twitter. We're Facebook pen pals. And he's a real good researcher and all that, and has a lot of merit. Some people, he's trying to sell his books and this and that. Like, I don't care about that. One thing I focus on is information. Because when I was young, I taken the initiative of looking at these things, looking at these areas as well. I'm glad I did. All right, because you always gotta see things a lot broader. That's just part of the information war. And I will read this, which actually came out August 26, 2013. And 72 types of Americans that are considered potential terrorists in official government documents. It says here, are you a conservative, libertarian, a Christian, or a gun owner? Are you opposed to abortion, globalism, communism, illegal immigration, the United Nations, or the New World Order? Do you believe in conspiracy theories? Do you believe that we are living in the end times? Or do you ever visit alternative news websites such as this one? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you are a potential terrorist. According to U.S. government documents, at one time, the term terrorist was used narrowly. The government applied that label to label the people like Osama bin Laden and other Islamic jihadists. But now the Obama administration is removing all references to Islam from terror training material, and instead the term terrorist being applied to large groups of American citizens. And if you are a citizen, that means that you have no rights, and the government can treat you like it treats the terrorists that are being held in Guantanamo Bay. So if you belong to a group that's now being referred to as potential terrorists, please don't take it as a joke. The first step to persecuting any group of people is to not demonize them. And right now, large groups of peaceful, law-abiding citizens are being ruthlessly demonized. Below is a list of 72 types of Americans that are considered to be extremists and potential terrorists if in official U.S. government documents. To see the original source documents for each point, just click on the link. As you can see, the list covers most of the country. And you can do this, my friends, all right? 1, those who talk about individual liberties. 2, those that advocate for states' rights. 3, those that want to make the world a better place. 4, the colonists who are sought to free themselves from British rule. 5, those that are interested in defeating the communists. 6, those that believe that the interests of one own nation are separate from interests of other nations, or the common interest of all nations. 7, anyone that holds a political ideology considers that the state to be unnecessary, harmful, or undesirable. 8, anyone possesses an intolerance towards other religions. That's freedom of speech, freedom of thought. 9, those that take action to fight against the exploitation of the environment and or animals. 10, anti-gay. 11, anti-immigrant. 12, anti-Muslim. 13, the Patriot Movement. 14, the opposition to equal rights for gays and lesbians. 15, the members of the Family Research Council. 16, the members of the American Family Association. 17, those believe that Mexico, Canada, and the United States are secretly planning to merge into a European Union-like entity that will be known as the North American Union. Yes, there's be a website on that called spp.gov, which stands for Security and Prosperity Partnership. But they took it off, that was signed by Canadian Prime Minister Paul Martin, Mexican President Vicente Fox, and U.S. President Jorge W. Bush, which stands for WUS. W stands for WUS, okay? I can say that proudly. But they had a little secret meeting and all signed the agreement without any congressional or parliamentary decision. All right? That happened in where? Waco, Texas. Ooh, coincidental, right? 12 years after that massacre that happened over there. All right? 18 members of the American Border Patrol, American Patrol. 19 members of the Federation for American Immigration Reform. 20 members of the Tennessee Freedom Coalition. 21 members of the Christian Action Network. 22, anyone that's opposed to the New World Order. Oh my goodness, I'm a bad boy, right? 23, anyone that's engaged in conspiracy theorizing. 24, anyone that's opposed to Agenda 21. 25, anyone that's concerned about FEMA camps. 26, anyone that fears impending gun control or weapons confiscations. I say natural born rights. They're offended by that too. 27, the militia movement. 28, the sovereign citizen movement. 29, that those don't think those that don't think they should have to pay taxes. 30, anyone complains about bias. 31, anyone believes in government conspiracies to a point of paranoia. 32, anyone that is frustrated with mainstream ideologies. 23, anyone that visits extremist websites, blogs. 34, anyone that establishes website, blog to display extremist views. 35, anyone that attends rallies for extremist causes. 36, anyone that exhibits extreme religious intolerance. 37, anyone that is personally connected with a grievance. 38, anyone that suddenly acquires weapons. 39, anyone that organizes protests inspired by extremist ideology. 40, militia or unorganized militia. 41, general right-wing extremists. 42, citizens but that have bumper stickers that are patriotic or anti-UN. Oh, they hate my flag, right? Yeah, I have an anti-UN flag. Yeah, I'm damn proud of it. 43, those that refer to an army of God. 44, those that are fiercely nationalistic as opposed to universal and international orientation. 45, those that are anti-global. 46, those that are suspicious of centralized federal authority. 47, those that are reverent of individual liberty. 48, those that believe in conspiracy theories. 49, those that have a belief that one's personal and or national way of life is under attack. 50, those that possess a belief in the need to be prepared for an attack either by participating in paramilitary preparations and training for survivalism. 51, those that would impose strict religious tenets or laws on society, fundamentalists. 52, those that would insert religion into the political sphere. 53, anyone that would seek politicized religion. 54, those that have supported political movements for autonomy. 55, anyone that's anti-abortion. 56, anyone that's anti-Catholic. 57, anyone that's anti-nuclear. 58, right-wing extremists. 59, returning veterans. 60, those concerned about illegal immigration. 61, those that believe in the right to bear arms. 62, anyone that is engaged in ammunition stockpiling. 63, anyone that exhibits fear of communist regime. 64, anti-abortion activists. 65, those that are against illegal immigration. 66, those that talk about the New World Order in a derogatory manner. Yep, bend over Bob to the New World Order. 67, those that have a negative view of the United Nations. 68, those that are opposed to the collection of federal income taxes. 69, those that supported former presidential candidates Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, and Bob Barr. 70, those that display the Gadsden flag, don't tread on me. 71, those that believe in end-time prophecy. 62, evangelical Christians. The group in the list are considered problems that need to be dealt with. In some of the documents referenced above, members of the military are specifically warned not to have anything to do with such groups. We're moving into a very dangerous time in American history. You can now be considered a potential terrorist just because of your religious or political beliefs. Free speech is becoming a thing of the past, and we are rapidly becoming a Orwellian society that is exact opposite of what our founding fathers intended. Please pray for America. We definitely need it. Doesn't matter what your faith is, my friends. Think about that. Bless this nation and your form of practice. This is why they don't want critical thinkers. That's why I've been telling people for 15 years when Jorge Bush made this Union State of Address that the war on terror, you with us or with the terrorists. And people applaud like a bunch of apple polishing buffoons that they are. I've been saying this enough times. The war on terror is a conflagration with ourselves, the people in this nation and beyond. I'm on that list. And you know what? I'm not bothered by it at all. I'm going to keep on going, doing this consistently, whatever shape or form. That's why when I hear all this garbage, people get offended. Oh, I'm so sensitive. You know what? My free speech is more important than your feelings, and I am not going to censor myself to comfort your ignorance, okay? Go back in your cave, or not take your grievances to a Walmart and cry to them. So, here's an article, actually a documentation, about right-wing extremism, current economic and political climate, fueling resurgence and radicalization and recruitment. And it says the same thing, very identical, on the 72 types of potential terrorists. You know, and key findings and all that. I like it when they made a beef about the first African-American president. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter if it's Barack Obama because he's some dark-skinned guy. He's just another bend-over Bob and Patsy as far as I'm concerned. I've seen his voting record before he ran for president, but everyone's like, oh, Obama, you know, so angry at Bush. And they can't even do their own damn homework. So, and it has some good information here, like right here, proposed imposition of farm restrictions and weapons bans would likely attract new members into the ranks of right-wing extremist groups, as well as potentially spur of them to begin planning and training for violence against the government. The high volume of purchases of stockpiling weapons and ammunition by right-wing extremists in anticipation of restrictions and bans in some parts of the country continue to be a primary concern to law enforcement. Oh yeah, police, help me. Sweet pie, purebred, call out for underdog. And of course, lone wolves. So I'm gonna add this to the memo, and they even talked about Christians in here as well. And I want to look for that. Oh, right here is economic hardship and extremism. And as I said, historically, it's like page 4 of 9. It's on the PDF format. Historically, domestic right-wing extremists have feared, predicted, and anticipated a cataclysmic economic collapse in the United States. Prominent anti-government conspiracy theorists have incorporated aspects of an impending economic collapse to intensify fear and paranoia among like-minded individuals and to attract recruits during times of economic uncertainty. Conspiracy theories involving declaration of martial law, impending civil strife or racial conflict, suspension of the U.S. Constitution, and the creation of citizen detention camps, and often incorporated aspects of a failed economy. Anti-government conspiracy theories and end-times prophecies could motivate extremist individuals and groups to stockpile food, ammunition, and weapons. These teachings also have been linked to the radicalization of domestic extremist individuals and the groups in the past, such as violent Christian identity organizations and extremist members of the militia movement. I like when it says unclassified for official use only. Where you get the money from? The Federal Reserve or the taxpayers or both? Come on. So let's just give you some examples here, and I'm gonna put that in my footnotes, okay, with the 72 types, and here's another one here. Even this is from Infowars.com. I know everyone's making a big thing about Alex Jones. However, you just gotta look at the information. A great amount of it has merit. That's what I always tell people. Always observe responsibly, right? I've been pretty good about this. And talks about, right there, Homeland Security reports list, Liberty Lovers as terrorists. This is by Paul Joseph Watson. It came out July 4th, 2012. Americans who are suspiciously of centralized federal authority, reverent, individually deemed domestic threat. As I say, a new study funded by the Department of Homeland Security characterizes Americans who are suspicious of centralized federal authority and reverent of individual liberties as extreme right-wing terrorists. entitled Hotspots of Terrorism and Other Crimes in the United States, 1970 to 2008, is a PDF format. The study was produced by the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Response to Terrorism at the University of Maryland. The organization was launched with the aid of DHS funding to the tune of $12 million, which largely omitting Islamic terrorists. The report fails to completely mention the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. The study focuses on the Americans who hold beliefs shared by the vast majority of conservatives, libertarians, and puts them in the context of radical extremism. The report's take its definition from a 2011 study entitled Profiles of Perpetrators of Terrorism, produced by the Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Response to Terrorism, in which the following characteristics are to be used to identify terrorists: Americans who believe their way of life is under attack, Americans who are fiercely nationalistic as opposed to universal international in orientation, people who consider themselves anti-global, presumably those who are wary of the loss of American sovereignty, Americans who are suspicious of centralized federal authority, Americans who are reverent of individual liberty, people who believe conspiracy theories that involve a great threat to national sovereignty and or personal liberty. The reports also list people opposed to abortion and groups that seek to smite the purported enemies of God and other evildoers as terrorists. As we have exhaustively documented on numerous occasions, federal authorities and particularly the Department of Homeland Security have been involved in producing a deluge of literature which portrays liberty lovers and small government advocates as terrorists. The most flagrant example was the infamous 2009 MIAC report published by the Missouri Information Analyst Center and first revealed by InfoWars, which framed Ron Paulers, libertarians, people who display bumper stickers, people who own gold, or people who fly an American flag as potential terrorists. To rush to denounce legitimate political beliefs as thought crimes or even mundane behaviors by insinuating they are shared by terrorists has accelerated in recent months. Under the FBI's Communities Against Terrorism program, the bulk purchase of food is labeled as a potential indication of terrorist activity and as is using cash to pay for a cup of coffee. Oh my goodness! And showing an interest in web privacy when used the internet in the public place. As we have documented on numerous occasions, the federal government routinely characterized mundane behavior as extremist activity or a potential indicator of terrorist intent. As part of its Seeing Something, Say Something campaign, the Department of Homeland Security educates the public that generic activities performed by millions of people every day, including using a video camera, talking to police officers, wearing hoodies, driving vans, writing on a piece of paper, and using cell phone recording application, are potential signs of terrorist activity. The DH stoked controversy last year when it released a series of videos to promote the See Something, Say Something campaign in which almost all terrorists portrayed in the PSAs were white Americans. Yes. So, there's a video on here Alex Jones talked about on here as a YouTube video. DHS lists liberty lovers as terrorists. You got to get footnotes. You can see this for yourselves. And I'll be very sincere, my friends. I've been reading about this long before I knew about InfoWars and Alex Jones, okay? So, just to give you guys a heads up. But like I said before, it's the information, never the person. Do your homework. Do your research, okay? That is the thing. And I'm going to add the Bill of Rights in here as well, all right? Which stands for government keep out. And I've read this enough times, I'm going to add this to the footnotes. So the question is the actions of the Russian government any different from the U.S. government? Absolutely not. Only difference is they want the judiciary system in Russia. The United States, Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security, trying to do everything hush-hush and try to sell you garbage. That's what tyranny is all about. It comes in all different entities and avenues. More things change, the more stay the same, right? So I recommend everyone out there to remain vigilant. Be rebellious in all avenues. Plant the seeds, get people to think. Not here to change, but inspire. I get a big kick out of it for some of these movies. You gotta change these people. Right there, you just destroyed the cause. Inspire is the word. Network with one another. Be like a cockroach. They can't kill us all. And I do wish the witnesses out there in Russia and anyone else that's critical, won't bow down to the government in Russia, the best. We should all be alarmed because other countries are doing this as well. Doesn't matter what their belief system is. And don't worry, Sharia law won't prevail in the United States. It's already illegal. Okay? That is all, my friends. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to the show. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me some information that I could be interested in, whatever you do, please deliver your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, or Minds.com. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is Loki Luck, the number 3, at gmail.com. Or to the Proton supporters out there, Proton Mail. I have an email address there as well. Encrypty boys and folks out there. Hit me on LokiLuck03, which is the number 03 at protonmail.com. I am taking donations. Voluntary contributions are good. I'm going to have a Patreon account. Patreon.com/LokiLuck with 3 eyes all together. Okay, my friends. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.